Hi, we're Tahi.
And we think Lysistrata is both political and sexy wrong.
But it's not feminist.
Here's Sophie to tell you some information about Aristophanes.
Aristophanes was born in 450 BC. Throughout his career, it was assumed he wrote over 40 plays, which we only have 11 yet left of now. The earliest was Babylonians, which we don't have all of, we only have fragments of, so not many people really know the plot of it. And that was written in 426 BC. The latest of his plays, Wealth, was written in 388 BC. It is often nicknamed the Second Wealth because there was a play he wrote quite early called Wealth, but that got lost, and so this is the Wealth we know now. And that was assumed to be the last one Aristophanes wrote because he died fairly soon after that same year. And Aristophanes was very, very political. He even wrote a transcript of a play about him, Plato, and other Athenian philosophers getting drunk.
Find cock, bull, boob, vagina, diddle, and tits funny? Well, you should, because it's fucking hilarious. Walk with me. Why is sexual comedy so effective? Well, it's such a relatable experience. Everybody fucks. Despite things like class, wealth, and status, everybody is brought to the same level during sex. One might say that we're metaphorically naked. But who decides what's funny and what's not? Well, it's really quite simple. I do. We've been raised in a society that frowns upon public expressions of sex, causing it to be looked at as more of a naughty topic as opposed to a natural one. That's why it's so shocking and hilariously outrageous when we hear somebody share such an intimate experience with such a large number of people. That was really well said, Tom.
Oh, hello there. First, we must understand that a Greek comedy knows it's a Greek comedy. You know, in a contemporary setting, we may regard this as meta theatre or, let's say, breaking the fourth wall. You all know Deadpool. Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, you do. Just like this, which is a break of the fourth wall. Lysistrata understands its basis for sex and the world that it lives in. Over to you, Liam. Awesome. Now over to you.
That is amusing. Lysistrata is a political play. The year is 411 BC. The Peloponnesian War has been raging for 20 years at this point, and things aren't looking good for the Athenians. A recent failed campaign into Sicily, led by the politician Alcibiades, had resulted in the loss of 200 ships and over 1,000 soldiers. Democracy was in shambles, and somehow, despite this massive military failure, and briefly defecting and joining the Spartans, Alcibiades was in the process of establishing an oligarchy and disabling democracy. Aristophanes' political criticism doesn't begin with Lysistrata. All of his plays have some kind of political message, and many of them are anti-war. There was a notable political figure alive in this era called Cleon. Cleon was sort of a bit of a Trumpish demagogue. He rose in a very jingoistic campaign in opposition to Pericles, an Athenian political figure with a much more liberal approach. Aristophanes' three plays, The Knights, the Wasps, and the Arcanians, take shots at Cleon and stand in opposition to him and Alcibiades. But how does Lysistrata come into this? Jack? Well, Jack, a bunch of dead old historians seem to think that. Take this one quote from Thual's History of Greece, for instance. The genius of Aristophanes, wonderful as it is less admirable than the use which he made of it. He never ceased to exert his matchless powers in endeavours to counteract, to remedy, or to abate the evils which he observed. But see, I would argue that Aristophanes just hates change. He's a traditionalist, a conservative. He dislikes Cleon and Alcibiades more because they hate the establishment than because of their jingoistic, warlike efforts. We see this reflected in his consistent discussion of the superiority of the old over the new, such as shown in the key conflict of his play The Wasps, and his distaste for intellectuals such as Socrates, such as shown in The Clouds. This claim is also backed up by William James Starkey, a classic translator and scholar of Aristophanes, who described him as a fanatical conservative. Well, we've gone way over time. Julia continues this discussion by talking about how Aristophanes is definitely not a feminist. Over to you, Julia.
Thanks, Jack. So far we've seen if Lysistrata is a comedic and a political play. But there's another question. Is Lysistrata really a feminist play? Now, on first read, you'd think, yeah, of course it is. You know, it's got a strong female protagonist, and it's also got women reclaiming their bodies to end a civil war. And that's all true. You know, Lysistrata is pretty badass in that she negotiates a truce between the two sides. And it's also pretty progressive how, in the play, it doesn't ignore that, yes, women get horny too. And obviously, you can't ignore that women do manage to end the war. But is it really that simple? All great points, Julia.
Under our model, this is how we'd stage Lysistrata. Here's our scene.
A poor prick. The service around here is terrible.
And this implies that women are only meant to be used for sex.
Sit up, my dear. Jump up. Now I have everything.
Indeed you have. And now, my golden girl, come here.
I'm just untying my brassiere. Now don't forget about the treaty. Don't disappoint me.
This line about the truce is in reference to stopping the war, which is inherently political and proves that this is a political play.
By Zeus, no, on my life.
You have no blanket, dear.
By Zeus, no, I do not need one. I just want to screw.
Don't worry, dear. You will. I'll be right back.
This number with her bidding means to murder me.
Now raise yourself upright.
This is upright now.
And this is up right now. We all know this is a sexual innuendo. However, this is also a great example of Greek comedy. Some may refer to it now in a contemporary setting as meta-theatre or breaking the fourth wall. Oh, you all know that as Deadpool though. Like, I can see you right now.
This all proves that Lysistrata is political and comedic, but not feminist.